Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Well, dawn's approaching out there. I see daylight is coming. Every day that goes by, we get closer to June 21st. The day get longer. Morning arrives sooner. So it's 5:42 Central Daylight Time, and real time it's 4:42. See, but we got this pretend time that I do not support. But anyway, Four Roses. I'm sorry, that would be a good one to bring. But this is Four Queens, 101 American blended whiskey. It's whiskey a blend. It says you can express it two ways. There's two ways you can put the bottle label. You can call it Four Queens 101 blended whiskey, or Four Queens 101, as they say, whiskey a blend. You see that from Canada too, Canadian blended whiskey or Canadian whiskey a blend. Okay, so there's the Four Queens. Don't know why they have that name. Try to get this thing to focus. It's produced somewhere. I should say it's distilled somewhere in America, but it's blended and bottled in New Jersey. Man, will this thing ever focus? By Scobeyville, New Jersey, by Kasser-Laird. And really just Laird's. Kasser was a distillery in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But back sometime in the 80s or 90s, I know they had a story about it in 1983. There was a story I read from an old newspaper article. But Kasser was pretty prominent, and they got bought by Laird's. There, it finally focused. Well. So this one may have coloring added. It may have flavoring added, because blended whiskey is allowed to have that, and they don't have to disclose it. I bought this in Metairie, Louisiana, at Martin Fine Wine and Spirits. I don't know if they still have it. I could look it up, but it's not important. It was $11.99, and I bought it because it was an unusual 101 blended whiskey. Most American blended whiskeys will come in at 80 proof. 80 proof. That now, in the old days, 1930s, 40s, 50s, even 60s, you would see these coming in at 86.6 proof or even 86.8. Then you notice in the 1960s, you'll see they started dropping them down to 80, where they are almost always today. This unusual 101 proof, 50.5% alcohol. When was it introduced? This I cannot find out. It says trademarked, but I looked under the trademark information, U.S. Trademark Office, can't find a listing for it. So that's strange to me, but it's the truth, and I'm pretty good at finding stuff like that. So if you know when it was introduced and you got good information, let me know. Like a reliable source, not, well, I heard it from somebody, or I got a friend, he's in the industry, he knows. That's not a source. I mean, it might be, but it's not a reliable source. Can't substantiate it. It's like back, they would say Donald Trump said this, according to a source. Who said it? Who's the source? You don't know. How you know they're not just making it up? You don't know. So you can't rely on stuff like that. Rumors and such. Okay, now here is Texas 254. Blended whiskey, 254 counties in Texas, more than any other state. Waxahachie, Texas, backwoods craft distillery. Strange thing, I was looking at their website different days and getting information. Wasn't giving me a whole lot, but the last 3 weeks the website has gone defunct. You click on it and it says no access and all of this, and there's no like Google listing. Like you look it up on Yahoo or Google, it's nothing there. So it's like, did it go out of business? It's only been around since 2019, the distillery and this brand, 2019. So did it last 5 years and go defunct? I wouldn't be shocked. A lot of these little craft breweries and craft distilleries do last a little while and then they die. Thing about this company, all of their liquor was produced in house. It was no, they didn't have any sourced whiskey or anything. That could have been a problem for them right there. Just a lot of overhead producing their own product. We've got some little craft distilleries in Louisiana. I don't know if they'll make it. It's hard to do that. But this is a clear glass bottle. This is glass. Usually they plastic, and it was $19.99. And I checked around, and that's pretty much the price everywhere, $19.99. Total Wine had it for $20.99, but you had to go to Dallas to get it. It's in Dallas, Texas. They still have some in stock. I bought this at Broadway Liquor in New Orleans, Louisiana. They might still have some left. They had a few bottles, probably 5 or 6 bottles. I don't really go to that store too much. Most of their prices aren't very good, but I thought I didn't know if this was a good price, but I checked around and then I said, yeah. And I made an effort to go back there and get it because I said, I knew I'll never see it again. And sure enough, I never saw it again. Like I say, unless I would go back to that store, but I would have no reason to. Sometimes I'll go, like if I'm going to the Tulane football game, plastic cap, had a shroud around it, like a foil shroud, plastic metallic color shroud. Oh, that was kind of nice looking. Yeah, I would stop by there if I go to a Tulane game and I get there too early and I'm kind of bored. Something to do. I'll go and I'll stop by there and look around. Usually they don't have anything and that I want, especially for the price I see. I'll like, no way. But even there, you'll find some things sometimes, as evidenced by this. And I'll go down the street, the highway, US Highway 90, actually, big 4-lane, busy road, which runs from Jacksonville Beach, Florida to Van Horn, Texas, hugging the Mexican border there out west. But I'll go to another store right off that highway called Elio's Wine Warehouse. And they usually have I'm not saying they have a much better selection. It's just they got a much better price on most things. And I very often will buy something there. And then I got to walk back to my car and put it in the car because I can't bring it into the game. And then, or I'll say, when y'all closing? Oh, okay. And if the game is early enough, I can go after the game and get it and go home. But anyway, so that's the story on that. Now, so $11.99, $19.99. So this Texas is a little cheaper per ounce. And it's a lot lighter. Now you can see the Four Queens is like amber gold. That looks like a natural color. I mean, I don't think they're adding color in because it's not too dark as it is. I mean, if they're adding 20% straight whiskey, which I would assume is bourbon, probably be that color. 80% grain neutral spirits, which is clear. But yeah, it'd probably be like that. Now this one here, look how light. It's barely got any yellow color to it, straw. Now I think, and I cannot back this up at all, Herbie over there in India, watching from India. Cheers to you, Herbie. Get people from India watching, even Russia and everything. Okay, so I think it's very possible that the Texas 254 could have been using straight corn whiskey for its flavoring whiskey. No, there's obviously no way I can prove that. I get that impression. Okay. Now some of these blended whiskeys, they will say 20% straight bourbon, as part of it, but that's not even common. That's not common for them to say that, but it happens, but don't look for, it really doesn't matter what kind of straight whiskey they want to use. They could use straight rye, would make it taste a bit unusual. They could use straight corn whiskey, like I said, straight bourbon, which is usually almost always what they're using. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the whiskey comes from. It just matters that it is straight, meaning age at least 2 years, no coloring, no flavoring added. Now, yes, I said they could add coloring and flavoring to the blend. Now, once they blend it with the grain neutral spirits, now they can add coloring and flavoring. But the straight whiskey itself is coming in to the blend with no coloring or flavor. Because if they had that, it wouldn't be straight whiskey. You see, all of a sudden it would then the product would be disqualified. It couldn't be sold. But that's, you say, well, that's just a bunch of technical details. I know that, but it does matter. I mean, they are the rules. So, okay, so anyway, I should be able to tell these apart considering a 101 proof versus 80, 10.5% higher alcohol. But it doesn't always work out. Let's see. I have been winning. I started off with a lot of trouble. I had 1 right and 2 wrong to start with when I started this tournament because I didn't really have a handle on the flavor, but I started getting a handle on it. And it's very corny, like sweet corn. I had some corn grits this morning, white hominy grits for breakfast with some other stuff in it. And that was probably a mistake to put corn and then follow it with liquid corn. That's maybe not such a good idea. But I did do it. Okay. I'm dissipating my blended whiskeys. They're slowly disappearing. Like the Bellows Club whiskey is gone. I went through it. But they're slowly coming down. But it may take 5 more years for them to come all the way down. You see, because a lot of them are sold in these big handle bottles. And for a good reason, because people are almost invariably using them for inexpensive cocktails for like a family get together or something like that. They're not sitting there by the fireplace swirling it around in a snifter or a Glencairn glass, analyzing it into some great detail. It's not designed for that kind of thing. And this 101, people use it in a drink called Boilo up there in Eastern Pennsylvania. Boilo. It's a Christmas time cocktail. There's all kind of report. You can look it up on the internet. There's all kind of news reports about Boilo, and they got videos like CBS News in Philadelphia, and they talk about Boilo, and I'm sure it's good. I never had it. And there's even I'll show you. Well, I'll show you after. There's a discussion about it on the website for Laird's. Okay, taste. The aroma wasn't really noteworthy. It was just like corn, sweet corn. So the aroma was about the same. The flavor here, yes, very sweet corn, and it's very light. This seems very light. Aged 2 years, 80 proof. I think that's what this is. I can't look, though. If I see the light appearance, I'm going to know what it is. I don't even need tags in this case because as soon as I see that pale color, I'm going to know, Sometimes they'll be the same shade of tan, so you have to have tags. You wouldn't be able to know if you got it right. Clearly 101 proof. You're not going to mistake it. It's coming on strong. It's coming on with a lot of heft. It's coming on with a lot of action. It's not going to rival Wild Turkey 101, obviously, because Wild Turkey 101 is all straight bourbon, and I think it's no age statement, but it's at least 4 years old, and therefore it's not going to have any coloring or flavoring added, which wouldn't be allowed. And you're going to have a lot of charred oak with the Wild Turkey and everything. So this you're not going to have. These blended whiskeys, you just don't ever evidence any charred oak. They do, well, sometimes, but it's so rare that it's basically not worth talking about. Now you get some blended Scotch, and they'll have the smokiness and the peat because they might use a high level of Islay as their 20% flavor whiskey, because those blended Scotch whiskeys, they kind of made the same as these American ones. They use about 80%, and that can vary, but about 80% grain whiskey, colorless, odorless, pretty neutral. But they have to age it 3 years in Scotland. It has to be aged 3 years. But might be wood that's old, been used 50 times, so that's not going to impart a whole lot on it. But it does have to be aged. It can't be raw. Well, in America, they allow raw whiskey, unaged, to be brought in. Not allowed in Canada, and not allowed in Ireland. Otherwise, they're about the same construction. Your flavor is going to come from that 20% or higher. Can't be less than 20. Oh, well, I haven't seen regulations in Scotland talking about that, but in the U.S., it cannot be less than 20%. And those will bring in the flavors, the straight bourbon or the Isla. We're talking about Scotland, the Isla whiskey or the Speyside. That wouldn't bring in a whole lot because Speyside's kind of dull all on its own anyway. But yeah, so. And some people prefer the blended whiskeys for various reasons. I used to work at Bingo on Friday nights, and this one man, David, he always would tell me, "Give me a Canadian blended." I said, "You want something to drink? Yeah, give me a Sprite." He said, "Give me a Sprite and a Canadian blended whiskey." He just didn't like the charred note from the bourbon. He liked the softer flavor. I would say duller, you see, but he liked the softer flavor of the blended, which is his option. He's drinking it. You may as well drink what you want, right? As you know, some people in the whiskey world or beer, and I guess wine too, but they're very totalitarian in their mindset. It's like they demand that you drink certain things and like them. You have to really, or you're considered an outcast. You're not worthy to grade whiskeys or beer or talk about it. You must go with the consensus. But I don't think that's a good way to look at it. Actually, it doesn't disqualify a person from grading things because they have a certain preference that's not with the majority, you see. It's just they prefer different things. So I'm going to say this, the Texas 254. But before I look, Daniel says, would do Wild Turkey and Southern Comfort. You mean in a taste challenge? No, I can't do that. Because Southern Comfort is a liqueur, a whiskey liqueur, and Wild Turkey is a straight bourbon. It wouldn't even be a challenge. It would be like doing a blind taste test between a cherry cola and a vanilla cola. Well, I mean, you're gonna know it. You say, well, that's cherry, that's vanilla. There's no challenge in it. Heaven Hill Distillery had a big explosion. A lot of whiskey was wasted. That wasn't recently, but yeah, it did have one. That was years ago. Hello, Ron, says Max Walt. Hello to you, Max Walt, in the Russian Federation. Burley Sullivan says, you good old Burley, boy. Okay. Now I got to see if I got it correct. I'm talking all this talk. Yeah, that's it. It's lighter. I mean, it's no. Y'all want to see the website? I'll show it to you. It's not much to show anyway. It won't take a moment. So there it is. 4 Queens 101 proof whiskey blend. And it's showing how they were common before and after Prohibition, still common today. Over time, the alcohol levels in most spirits were reduced. I just talked about that earlier. But today's spirit enthusiasts and bartenders once again appreciate a high proof spirit. 4 Queens has survived the test of time. This product has been around for so long, it is new again. Best of all, 4 Queens is both high proof and affordable. You see, when it was introduced, they may not know. They bought it from another company, and that other company might have had maybe not so good record keeping. 4 Queens is known as an ingredient in making a boilo, the traditional Christmas or Yuletime drink in the coal region of northeastern and east central Pennsylvania. So there you go. So, and then some of the other products, show you real fast because I got to get off here to go watch the news. There's the all the Apple Jacks, which is apple brandy, and they own an orchard in Virginia, which is where it comes from. And then you see they got ready to drinks now, these ready to drink things, which everybody makes. Blended Scotch whiskey, Barristers, Maple Pecan Gold. I have seen that around. The discount had a lot of it. It's like flavored whiskey. Yeah, 5-star whiskey. Canadian have some of that, or I had it. Might be gone now. But yeah, so there you go. They make a lot of stuff, or they have a lot of stuff made for them. All right, let's get out of here. Too conservative in Baton Rouge, can't go there. Baton Rouge is not really that conservative, the city leadership. Go out to Ascension Parish if you want real conservative people. They might be neo-conservative. All right, but anyway, thank you. So the winner, there is no winner. It's just a personal preference. But I won because I could tell them apart. All right, bye-bye, y'all.